Look at this guy.
I am trying to get back into it, buddy. I am trying.
All right, guys.
As my wife says, I'm very trying.
Very trying. All right. I think we are live, Mitch, so it's probably time to start the show in
Man,
5,
no pre-show
4,
banter?
3,
Okay, go.
2, 1. Hello and welcome back to another episode of DSLR Film Noob Podcast. We have Sully in the chat room already. It's like old times. Mitch,
Dang.
I haven't seen you for several months, man. What
Hi,
have you
DJ.
been up to? Tell me some stories.
Hi, Planet. Oh, Earth. Hi, all you people. I forgot to open the chat window, so I'm going to have to do that while you're telling everybody about your background. I want to tell it...
Oh, go ahead, Mitch.
No, you go ahead.
All right. Well, before we get started, I wanted to just give a product update here. In the past, I've bragged about how great these Best
right
Light V-Pad 150 LED lights, and I'll make sure to get that in the show notes. These are great lights. They're only like $20, except that sometimes they fail at random. This one started smelling like burning tires about 15 minutes ago before the show started. So I still have one up over there to the right, but this one is toast. So, pro tip, and maybe not a pro tip, don't be dishonest, but if you order another one of these, they have no markings indicating which one is which. So you basically change out the broken one for a new one and send it back as a failed LED light. I don't know if that's the best way to go, but hey, I don't know what to tell you. They shouldn't fail as many times as they do. I've lost 4 of these already. So, pro tip, these are not very reliable. Mitch, what about you, man?
Well, number one, I want to tell everybody how mad I am at you.
Uh-oh.
I'm really mad at you. I was going to go in last night and just watch a hair of the episode you did with Devin last week. And lo and behold, I got sucked into the whole show.
What?
Yes, I watched the entire show, and it just made me so angry because I was going to do several things, and I was just so fascinated with you guys. So now I understand what the readership, the watchership is like, how addicting this show is. So I'm really mad at you.
That was a really good discussion with Devin, especially the working on the Rogue One Twitter account. We had a lot of off-air time to talk about that as well.
Off-air time? Golly.
Yeah, so Mitch, what have you been up to, man? It has been a while. I heard you went to a road show of some kind, and road show.
Yes.
And
we'll get into that in the show.
In the show.
The show.
So, does that mean
No, it's not time.
Okay.
Don't push the button. Not time. You ask me a question and then you try to push buttons. Stop it. I've been doing a lot of photography. I just shot a review of that Tokina lens that I showed off a couple of months ago. Finally getting that under wraps, so that'll be coming up next week. Doing giveaways. By the way, there's a giveaway available right now if you go to planetfindD.com. I didn't fix the DSLR Film Noob link, so don't go there. planetfindD.com/giveaway. You can win a Stella Pro Action LED light kit that ends on Monday. So hurry over there, planetfindD.com/giveaway, and win. And next week, we're going to have a giveaway from Tenba. So if you're looking for some cool gear bags, pay attention next week. We'll have another sweet giveaway. Yes, I love the applause. Thank you. We've had ice storms. Like you said, you had ice storms, although our ice storm, it was really kind of fun because it was 50 degrees on Thursday, and they said, we're going to get an ice storm tomorrow. So everything, like the roads were warm, so when it iced, when we got freezing rain, it didn't stick to the roads, but it stuck to the trees, and it was gorgeous. Got out and shot some, but I hear you've been stuck without internet for months and months.
Oh, the ice storms rolled in here into the Portland area, and it hit the gorge really bad, up to 2.5 to 3 inches of ice. Took out power for a couple days at a time, and of course, when they have to run a new drop from the pole to your house, it's not an optimal time to
No.
install internet. And unfortunately, I am now in Mitch's situation where I have a single company with which to
Uh-oh.
deal. So either it's dish internet, which is basically useless, or it is cable internet from a single provider who installs when they feel like it and gives you a 5-hour window with which to take off work in order to get said installation done. So
Nice.
there you have it. Part of the joys of buying a new house. Other than that, I am surrounded by cables right now because my desk is still a mess, using a tiny monitor, which I was complaining about before the show.
Oh, boo.
I had to go from a 42-inch to a 22-inch, and until I dig the 42-inch out of a box somewhere, that'll be my unfortunate pain to deal with.
We
But,
feel so sorry for you, don't we?
yeah, living the dream.
Let them
Living the
have
dream.
it, chat room. Let them have it.
All right. On that note, it is probably time to get started with the news. Time for the news. All right, first up is actually for Mitch here. We have heard that there was a big road announcement as well as an actual demonstration and a show. And Mitch, I understand that you have gone to said show. We've got some announcements of the Pro Plus, which appears to be basically the Rode VideoMic Pro with some extra features. They've changed
Yes.
the shock mount, increased the time for running, added that auto on-off setup that's pretty nice, allowed for power via micro USB, and increased the filter range to 2 steps instead of a single step, which is kind of nice. What else do you know about this, Mitch? And you've probably experienced it a little bit more than me, so tell me more
Yes, I
about
did.
the Pro Plus.
Yes, I have much more experience on one thing than you. So it's a bonus for me for once.
You win this round.
I do. I get to win this, but everything else in the show notes is all you, so I'll just be quiet and listen. I've been blessed to be invited to the last 3 road shows, and I love they call it a road show, but it's RODE, but not ROAD. They're wonderful people. I love talking to them. So they did pay for my hotel, and unfortunately this time was in Vegas. I'm not very happy with Vegas. I don't like Vegas. It's not my town. So why they did it in Vegas, I don't know. But I did get to experience what it's like to stay in a hotel room that is in the neighborhood of $500 a night. Never experienced anything like that. And I will tell you that my opinion is that it's not much better than a hotel room that's $100 a night or $60
Did they get you
a
a
night.
honeymoon suite at the Sheraton or something?
Oh, it was the Mandarin or Oriental. I almost said Mandarin Orange. There's the
early.
Mandarin Oriental, which I'd never even heard of before. But I felt so foolish. I'll tell you a silly, sad story. I don't particularly care for the maid service coming in while I'm staying in a hotel room, so I put the Do Not Disturb sign on the door. I'm looking all over, looking for a Do Not Disturb sign. I can't find one anywhere. It's usually hanging on the back side of the door, right? In the cheapy hotel. So I actually go to reception and I say, "Where's the Do Not Disturb sign?" And they say, "I'm sorry, sir, we don't have little signs. We have lights outside the door. Red meaning do not disturb, blue meaning valet service, blah, blah, blah." So they've got several different settings, but there's a little switch on the inside where you push
What?
privacy, and it says privacy. It doesn't say do not disturb. So I was like, what the hell's privacy mean? So, I mean, I felt really foolish, but, apparently we peons who never go to the fancy places, maybe not every fancy hotel has those, I don't know, but yeah, I just was like, I feel so so low class having to ask for this.
Wow.
I was actually going to steal one off of a door, but I couldn't find one. I was like, oh, I can't lower myself to this. Anyway, so Rode announced these new microphones, and unfortunately, they do this every 2 years, so it's not an every year event, it's every 2 years. So this time they don't actually have microphones that are ready to ship. They were in prototype mode, and I found out afterwards that they were actually using the new Rode VideoMic Pro Plus on all of the cameras they were doing to record the event. So I was like, damn, you mean I could have seen one and touched one, but they had them all packed away by the time I discovered that. But basically, and they also announced 3 other microphones that have to do with, musicians and audio recording, and they put on I have a DVD or a Blu-ray here that I have yet to listen to, where they have used their new ribbon microphones to record the audio, and they played some of it in the hall while we were there, and it's just like being at the concert. It was amazing, the microphones. So the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, which is most interesting to our readerships, watcherships, whatever. Basically, they've taken the Rode VideoMic Pro, which has sold, I don't know, millions of units, and they've fixed everything that was wrong with it, which is awesome. Biggest complaint everybody had, of course, was, originally was the little rubber bands, and they fixed that by putting on the Rycote shock mount. The second biggest complaint was that stinking door for the battery.
Oh yeah, that's always a tough one, especially when you're kind of blind behind the microphone in front of the camera. It's a pain in the butt.
So it now is permanently attached and just swivels down, and so you don't have to fiddle with trying to get that sucker back on. They obviously have a new rechargeable battery pack, which will give you 100 hours of time. And if you don't have the rechargeable battery pack, then you can power it with 2 AA batteries, which they always told me that they had to have the 9-volt batteries because the VideoMic Pro needed lots of power. So they've obviously fixed some internals to make it use less power but still sound good. They fixed that. They have all the things you talked about. They have the new locking plug, so you can remove the plug, the cord, so you can use their different adapters. So if you want to hook the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus to your smartphone, they have an adapter. So you can now not need multiple little microphones. I still have the video mic. What do they call it? The mic. I forgot what they call this.
Oh, is that the little one that attaches to your phone?
Yeah, right. So I've used this quite a bit on my phone to give me a little bit better sound when I've been using the phone. But so you can now, the new VideoMic Pro Plus will allow you to plug it into smartphones, all kinds of other devices if you've just got the right adapter. So that was pretty cool. And the plug is the locking plug from the other. I don't have the other one sitting here. Anyway, so it locks in place, so you're not going to have the jack, the plug, the cord unplugging itself. So I really like that part as well. And the power on and off feature is like, finally, somebody's gotten smart in that it auto detects whether or not it's plugged into the camera or in, well, I won't say another power source. So if you turn it on and forget that you have it on, but you turn the camera off, the microphone powers off. I'm like, holy cow, this is brilliant. Why didn't we do this before?
So you don't have to worry about leaving it on in your bag, which was always an issue with the other one.
Yes.
You would throw it in there, forget to check the light, and it would drain the battery. And the next time you go to use it, you'd be SOL unless you wanted to deal with changing the hassle-filled battery pack.
Yeah, and of course that meant you had to have extra 9-volt batteries in your bag, which, you don't use those for anything else. So now, at least, even if you run out of battery, if you somehow manage to run out of juice, then all you got to do is put some double A's in. You can go to the store and get those much more easily than you can 9 volts. And everybody carries double A's around with them these days, right? Right.
So you were at the announcement for this. Did they ever actually bring out a Rode VideoMic Pro that has a built-in recorder? Because I know there was a lot of conversation about that for, about 2 years, and
Yes.
then it just never really materialized.
And I really probably should have asked them that question. I forgot that particular. I thought about it before I went. And I was going to ask, and then I didn't remember. That's it. Every time I ever asked, they said there were engineering difficulties with that, and I don't know what those engineering difficulties are. They would not ever say, but I think that product's dead. I don't think they. I don't. They also said that they had 30 new products in the pipeline.
Wow.
Some of them big, some of them little. It could be as much as an adapter, but they showed the video, and if you go to the plant5d.com article, or it's in the show notes that DJ linked to, we actually found the video that they played live for us, and so you can see all of the behind the scenes, and the video is kind of cool because it shows the warehouse and some of the new additions they have. They've increased, in 2016, they increased their staff by 30%.
Wow.
The Rode is growing like crazy. Peter, who is the CEO / owner, I think he's the CEO. Maybe he's given up that title. It was the 50th anniversary last year of Rode microphones, and Friedman Electronics is actually the company that owns Rode microphones. But Peter it's fascinating to listen to him talk because he tells the stories about how many times they almost went under in 50 years. The company was started by his father. And he loves to tell the story about how he took it over being a smart young man and was going to just make all kinds of money and was in debt up to his patuka, and they almost went under a couple of times. And then when he actually was in the United States, because Rode is from Australia. I think most people know that, but he was actually in the United States and went into a music store in LA with one of the early prototypes of the first Rode microphone, and was about to give up and go home and fold the whole company, and he ended up convincing the store owner to buy 100. And it was like do or die situation, and he convinced the store owner to buy 100, and from there became Rode microphone the way we know it today, and they're dominating the market. I mean, I know a lot of people use Sony and Canon and other kind of microphones, but everywhere I go, I see Rode mics.
Well, Rode's kind of done this thing where they've moved into the market where people weren't really paying attention. So the on-camera small mic to just get room sound or what have you, like the VideoMic Pro and the original video mic, and no one was really doing that. There were a bunch of these kludgy put a battery in a shotgun microphone and sort of like mount it somehow onto your camera things that were basically useless. People were trying to do, and Rode packed it all into one little thing, and that was awesome. And then this mic, and Rode's not even a sponsor of mine, but this VideoMic Pro that I use, I used to have a bunch of other microphones for doing this sort of talking head stuff, and this microphone is awesome. And they keep innovating in those little spots where no one's really trying very hard, or you either have the high end and the extreme low end but no middle. I can't say Rode's perfect at everything.
Right.
Some of their some of their wireless solutions I'm not extremely fond of.
Right.
And let me tell you, Wi-Fi is probably not the best way to go about communicating audio across distance in a pro application. But as far as microphones go, best middle to high-end mics out there. Plus, you know, they also have the boom mics that are available.
Yep.
The NTG 1 through 4, which has always been very confusing to me, which are all great middle of the line microphones that are affordable. And if you don't have the budget to go $1,000 or $2,000 into a nicer Sennheiser mic or something like that, there isn't really anything till you get down to Audio Technica, which is, you know, down towards the bottom. And Mitch is holding up a microphone right now. Which one is that?
Well, I thought there was a microphone in this box.
Ah.
I must be using it. It's the NTG4, which I really like because it has power in it and it's rechargeable and everything else.
All right.
The other thing, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
The other thing they announced last, I think it was October, they announced that they bought a company called Soundfield. And of course, I knew nothing about Soundfield because they were in a totally different market. But Rode also announced that they have taken the Rode video mic and made a Soundfield edition. And this is going to be really cool in itself. So the Soundfield edition is a 4-mic bundle. So it's, if you take the XY microphone position and double it, it's basically 360 degree sound. And they're primarily initially aiming Soundfield right now. Soundfield's been around for 30 years, I think he said. The Soundfield gives you this massive stereo surround sound options, and so they've created a new video mic with Soundfield in it, which is customizable. The thing that really blew me away that I didn't understand is that they can take those 4 microphones in this weird XY position thing, and they can customize it. So they can actually, you can do a shotgun mic out of it. So you could buy the new video mic Soundfield. The names keep getting me confused. And you can flip a switch, and it is basically this similar to, I won't say the same thing, but this similar profile as the video mic shotgun, the video mic Pro. So it would be a forward-looking surround sound. If you wanted stereo, and that would be a mono thing. If you want because Rode also has the Rode video mic stereo, right? Video stereo mic. You can flip another switch, and you can either get a narrow stereo field or a wide stereo field. And so you have 3 different options of how you want to record sound. So if you need ambient sound, for example, of the room, you could use it as a stereo mic. If you want it as a shotgun, you can also use it that way. So one microphone will do both jobs for you.
So not to rain on your parade too much, Mitch,
No.
but check this guy out. So the Zoom H2N, which provides
there was some,
a very decent pattern. It's forward, backward. You have the 4-mic array that gives you 2 sets of 90-degree fields of listening, as well as a 2-mic array and a front, back, and an XY pattern, similar to what you're describing. But this one actually has a built-in field recorder as well. Right. So how does this differ from something like that, Mitch?
There was some conversation by people about whether it would replace their H2N. And of course, we haven't had our hands on these yet. So my understanding from talking to Rode is that the Soundfield software is much more, I don't know, vibrant, resilient, I don't know what the right word is, than the H2N. But it also means that you have to have additional software, and there's a different output plug if you want the sound field capabilities, which they really didn't get into. So again, it's still in an early prototype phase. It's not going to be out for months and months. We didn't get any kind of pricing information or release dates. I just do know that some people are using that H2N to do similar functionality. So we'll have to see. It looks cool.
I just some of those things when they get into the stereo sound, it's like, what do you need this for, guys? Because I understand like surround sound is an actual thing, but if you ever work on the audio production side of designing surround sound, most of it is all hypothetical. You don't actually capture the sound in real life. You create the sound, you pan it across multiple speaker ranges, and you do all these other things in post to build the soundscape, the background noise, and all that stuff. The only time I've ever needed a microphone that picks up even stereo in most cases was to simply gather some acoustical stuff for that sound creation.
Right.
Never for actual, hey, I need to get this guy talking, and it would be, it would be great if I could get this in stereo. Like, I just really want this guy in stereo. Like, it's one mouth. Like, he only projects one way. So, and when you get more patterns than that, there's a few really unique cases where people want to do capture of nature or birds or certain really specific audio needs. But for filmmakers, I don't know. I haven't met a single filmmaker, and maybe the chat room can correct me, that's like, boy, if only I had 4 microphones or 8 microphones or 10 microphones all pointed in every single direction to just capture everything. I would honestly be afraid that I would end up in the recording while running the camera. So I don't really know.
And the other thing, and we've had discussions about this before, you and me, and they're aiming this at the 360-degree virtual reality market.
Maybe that's
so. So, the point being, if you're going to record video that gives you 360 degrees, wouldn't it be awesome that if you're wearing a visor or whatever, if you turn your head, then you would actually have the sound rotate with you, where typically most things don't happen like that. So I jumped on it because I thought it was interesting, the options of having either multiple different polar patterns, but they're targeting it more at the 360 virtual reality market, and we've yet to see whether or not that sucker's going to take off. I was actually just watching this morning. The New York Times is doing a daily 360 degree video.
Really?
I don't know if you've seen that. Yes, they're putting out a new one every day. And the video quality absolutely sucks. I think they're designing it for people to watch on a smartphone. Because I was watching here on my monitor, my 27-inch iMac, and it's like the most pixelated stuff you ever saw. It's interesting. Like, this morning was on a ballet dancer in New York City. Followed her around for the day through her day, and I still I think it's interesting to be able to pan around, but it slays me that they're putting up a text on the screen about what's happening. But that only appears if you're looking at the center. And so, man, as you kind of look around, you feel like, wait a minute, maybe they're showing some text that I need to be reading. So you try to quickly jump back to center to see if there's any text there, which totally, to me, distracts from the point of, whatever.
Yeah, that stuff needs to follow you. If it doesn't follow you, then it becomes sort of, I don't know, not useless, but useless actually.
Yeah, it is, and distracting. So there's a lot of learning yet to be done with 360 stuff, and like I say, I think it's interesting I mean, in that video, for example, it reminds me of my ability. Right now, I'm working with my daughter's color guard group, and I get to go in and behind the scenes and see what they're doing during the day, during their practice, and at showtime and stuff like that. So it's kind of like being there if you can't be there. I like the 360 aspect of that, but I certainly wouldn't spend my whole day watching a movie or a TV show or something shot in 360. I don't see any way that's going to really work. But anyway, so in our arena, there's these two new mics from Rode. I think they're going to be pretty cool. We don't know pricing. We don't know when they're coming out, and that's my story.
Nice. So, Mitch, one thing I just want to comment in the chat room because everybody seems to be asking me about this. I mentioned a little complaint about Rode's wireless system, and I want to clarify, guys. The wireless system, all the Wi-Fi units in general, period, are not something that I would want to use at any kind of distance, period, at all. Secondly, I've done tests. Devin and I both have done tests on these. The Rode Video Mic or Video Pro wireless unit and the Audio Technica, and the model number is escaping me, wireless Wi-Fi unit. Both of those are the strongest out of the Wi-Fi offerings that are available. However, the Audio Technica, I believe, will go about 40 feet before it gets unreliable. The Rode will go about 25 to 30 feet before it gets unreliable. And in heavy Wi-Fi areas, I would push that back to like 10 or 15 feet maximum. If you are being paid and you are in a congested area or a city, for example, UHF is still the way to go. It's more expensive. Yes, I understand that. But if you're getting paid, you want your audio to show up at the recording. And if it doesn't, you might as well not even shoot the video. So keep that in mind.
Isn't a wire the better option?
The wire is the best option, but sometimes wires are not the case. And make sure if you can afford it that you spend the money on one of the more expensive auto signal detect, auto interference detect systems. Some of the more expensive Sennheisers, if you are getting paid quite a bit, do detection and will move channels automatically if they find a conflict on the channel. So those are really important, and there's a reason why some of those cost over $1,000. They do a great job, and you never have to worry about them failing live. However, you pay a lot of money for them.
Yeah, I haven't tested the Rhodes like you have. Don't the Rhodes do auto detect and switch channels?
They do. However, every single cell phone and other device out there, even down to simply Wi-Fi routers in the area, are using the maybe 12 allocated channels available. So
you're saying the more expensive ones use different channels?
The more expensive ones use a different frequency. So Rode uses the 2.4 gigahertz band, which is Wi-Fi. Your UHF bands are 500 megahertz and 600 megahertz. Those are a much higher frequency and are reserved for those particular frequencies of communication and so on for public use. The Wi-Fi band is used for everything from cordless phones to your cell phones, Wi-Fi connection, everything across the board. And then, even this camera I have here, my Sony A7S, all those are kicking out Wi-Fi. And the Wi-Fi channels available at the 2.4 gigahertz range aren't that many. So even if they can hop channels, that's awesome. But you have 5 or 6 people also hopping channels in the same area, and suddenly it gets very congested. So then it's a matter of signal strength. And the Rode doesn't quite have as big of an antenna as some of the competition, so its signal strength is a little bit lower. However, adding 2 antennas only increases your distance by maybe 5 feet. So it's great if your subject is close to the camera, or you're just doing 1 or 2 of them. But if you get if you're out in the woods, that's great. If you're in your apartment by yourself and there's not very many Wi-Fi signals, it's awesome. You live out in the country, great. You go to a city, a major auditorium, you have a bunch of other people working there, definitely not my first choice if I have to be more than 10 or 15 feet away from my subject, which in an auditorium, a lot of times you have to capture more than one person running around on stage. So, and again,
See,
Mitch brought up a great point. Wired mics are the best because there's absolutely no interference. They are great, though, and they're very affordable. So don't get me wrong. I'm not completely poo-pooing any of the 2.4 gigahertz audio systems. You just got to know what their limitations are. Now,
and that's why I love you, DJ, because you've used all these things like crazy, and you've learned these lessons and are willing to share them with us. Thank you.
and there's a brand, and it's escaping me right now. I think it's Ultrasonic or Usonic. They make really awesome Wi-Fi or wireless systems for audio, and they come in a rack, and you get 4 or 8 of them at a time, and they're all dedicated to their own channels. But to rent those, it's $1,000 a day.
Holy
I wouldn't
cow.
even imagine owning one, and they're amazing. So when I have really high value production that I'm working on, I will rent one of those because I can just hand out mics like candy, and they do an excellent job. But my God, I would never be able to afford owning one of those. So just something to think about. Now, speaking of things that are expensive, imagine for a moment, if you will, Mitch, a camera, an action cam, built into a can that has a gimbal system. Does that sound like something you would waste, I don't know, maybe $650 or so for a 4K
No.
camera? If you would, meet the Rollcap. This is basically everything I just described. Pricing expected to be between $500 and $600. It's a 4K action cam with a 3-axis gimbal built into a little can. Battery life is expected to be about 110 minutes roughly. And this thing is sort of awkwardly shaped and not the most convenient, but it's small enough, about the size of your fist. Mitch, I know we always seem to go back to action cams. What do you think about? Well, there's so many new action cams. I got to cover them all. This one actually I thought was kind of clever. They're basically giving you the gimbal, the camera, and everything in a waterproof dive case, which is sort of strange. Would you spend money on this?
No.
No.
I want you to go back. For those people who are watching, please click on the link and go to the Rollcap website. And I know you love me because I talk about really weird different things, right?
Absolutely.
When I went to this website, I want to know, right there, don't move, don't scroll. I want to know how that woman got that belly button. That is the most bizarre belly button I have ever seen in my life. I mean, I saw this, and that was where my eye went. I'm like, what? I mean, it's
Maybe
like
it's-
totally
Maybe
straight up
it's the
and down
squeeze of the
vertical.
pants. It's maybe the pants are just squeezing the belly button together in a strange way.
I don't think that's what it is. But I think she's had plastic surgery to make this really perfectly vertical, long belly button. It's weird.
Okay.
I think it's too big and clunky for most people. Listen, I mean, on her hip, it looks really weird. It looks, I mean, the picture of the guy playing with his kid where he has it mounted on his shoulder, right up at the top. I mean, it's
Right at
kind
the
of
top.
small.
Well, here's a
Yeah.
skateboard. That's
Yeah,
If
that
you
makes
know the
sense.
size of a trucks on a skateboard, it looks like it's about roughly the same size. So fairly decent, bigger than his arm.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Anyway.
When I saw this, I thought like this is cool, but you know what? Moving on. It's out there. It's supposed to be coming up in third quarter. So if you're interested in an action cam with that, go for it. The next one on my list here, and we've already spent actually way more time than I was expecting on some other stuff. So
I
I'm gonna
know.
fly through these. The first thing is the
My
Pentax
fault.
KP, and this is announced here recently. We're expecting a APS-C size camera that's basically about $1,099. This has all the features you'd expect: the 24 megapixel sensor, all the video recording capabilities that you could shake a stick at, 27 points of autofocus, and of course the flippy dippy screen. The other thing of
Yay!
note here is also that this camera has inbuilt image stabilization, 5-axis in fact, and that is something that now every camera manufacturer
Except
minus
for
Canon is
Canon.
offering. Now, Mitch, I know they had the M5, which has digital stabilization. Do you think we're ever going to see
Nope.
in-body image stabilization from
Nope.
Canon?
Nope.
No? Really?
I. But it goes back to, and unless have I been wrong before? Yes, multiple times. But I keep going back to what I've learned about Canon, and that Canon makes bodies to do what? Sell lenses.
That's true.
So if they can have a lens that they can charge an extra 200, 300, whatever the upsell is by having image stabilization in the lens, why would they put it in the body? They've got so many people buying so many Canon lenses. I
would argue, though, that the in-body image stabilization is superior in many cases to the lens stabilization. That's not the case for really long lenses, but for many of the shorter focal throws, it seems like I would rather have a much wider aperture than a freaking motor spinning inside of the lens. Am I wrong?
And they never put it IS on anything below 85, right?
Well, no, they have a 28 and I believe a 35. Yeah, the filmmaker specials, they're about $600 and they're like f2.8s and they have IS built in. And
okay, I'm wrong. Again.
They're very expensive for an f2.8 lens. They do have image stabilization in body, but it's kind of like, what are you doing, Canon? I would rather this be a nice f1.8 or f1.4 as opposed to f2.8 and have this stabilization in there. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but
well, Canon's pretty good at sensing the market. I also want to say something that slayed me, and I know I keep getting way off topic, but I went to read the article that you posted about the new Pentax over on DP Review. And on the sidebar, they have what's your version of the best product for 2016. It was a poll that they posted, and you can no longer vote. But the best product of 2016 by voters on their website is the Nikon D500.
Really?
25.4%. There's not even a mention of the 5D Mark IV, okay? And I know you don't particularly care for the 5D Mark IV, but... and the second most popular was the Fuji X-T2. I'm like...
Yeah, people love the Fuji, actually.
Yeah. I know people love the Fuji, but there's not a single Canon mentioned here, and maybe that's significant. And I don't know whether there were any options for any Canon products or other products. I mean, they've got the Olympus 100 or 12 to 100 lens, which I'd never even heard of. So it just slayed me at these choices.
The 12 to 100 f4 is actually a beautiful little lens, by the way. If you're a micro four thirds shooter, oh my gosh, that thing is compact, has tons of reach, and it is very sharp and water sealed, all that business, and it's priced well too.
That's why it hit this list, I guess, because I certainly didn't hear about it, but DJ
that's
knows
only
everything.
for micro four thirds shooters, Mitch. And as a full frame shooter like yourself, this would be a useless lens for you, unless you only want a tiny circle in the middle.
I'm also supposed to be aware of all the things in the market, you know.
The market is so big these days; it's hard.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Anecdotally, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you said.
Anecdotally, I go out on occasion and I lead a photo group where I bring 10 or 15 photographers and I walk them around Portland and they take pictures of stuff. And you get a kind of weird swath of everybody because photography has a wide umbrella. And there are 2 or 3 Fuji shooters in there, and it started out as one guy, and then people saw his images, and then it was 2 guys. Now it's a gal and 2 guys that are all shooting on Fuji, and they freaking love it. And I will tell you, like the cameras are well built. They feel nice. They have that sort of retro modern feel that's Olympus is good at and some of these other brands. And the images are really nice. Plus, I'm not moving to Fuji by any means, but for photography, they do have a really decent lens selection. And because there aren't so many Fuji shooters, the lens prices on the used market are pretty reasonable. So, you
Yeah.
know, that's something to think about if you're strictly on the photography side. If you're doing video as well, the Fuji cameras are a lot of them, especially the older ones, are missing out on a few things. Same with
Mitching
Pentax.
out?
Mitching out. As a Freudian slip
That's a new
there.
one. Yeah, I'm gonna write that down. Mitching out.
So I don't know. Pentax is the same way. You know, there's mentions in the chat room that it doesn't have 4K shooting. It does have a 4K interval movie, which is basically a sort of a time lapse or stop motion 4K. That seems to be a thing that people want in every camera, and I'm not arguing with that because I want 4K in every camera from now on. There's no point in making a camera these days without it. So I don't know. I don't want to discourage any of the other brands. Last time we talked about a Pentax camera, people just blew up. Were upset about us not covering it enough. So there you go. There's Pentax, new camera, looks nice, whatever.
Do you have? Let me. Since you're talking about it, since you brought it up, and I know you probably want to go, so we're 45 minutes in, and I keep extending every story.
I know.
I know. I'm just that way. You should know that, TJ. I'm trying to find some quick information on the internet, and I'm getting multiple different stories, but several charts I'm looking for, like Pentax market share in the camera market appears to be like 2 to 4%, depending upon which one you look at. Fuji is 5% maybe. So I'm kind of surprised that if you have a group of people that show up, and every area is going to be obviously different, but if you were to get 100 people to show up, to have 5 of them have Fuji would be kind of strange. And so you're getting a tiny little group, and 2 of them have Fuji.
3
Cool.
now.
3
So
now.
the other thing that's, and I don't know if this is a coincidence or not, but they're older folks, 50s and 60s, and they're also all college professors. So I don't know, is Fuji the Subaru of cameras? They're like, well, we got to have our Subaru, we got to have our Fuji camera, and they all do a lot of traveling too. Most of them are college professors who do like sociology or childhood development in foreign countries. So they're out of the country for a month or 2 out of the year, doing research studies on whatever. And they always have these beautiful pictures with their Fuji cameras that they bring back, or even, in Portland when we're taking photos, they do a great job. So I don't know if it appeals to a certain group, and maybe it's that market between a Micro Four Thirds and a APS-C where they want more in terms of shallow depth of field and so on, but they aren't going full frame, and they want to have a retro style camera. And to be honest, there isn't really a retro style camera available in full frame from Canon, Nikon,
Right.
whatever. So your next step to get to retro and APS-C would be your Fujis and your Pentax. So maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe it's a style choice as far as
Yeah.
I know
Could be.
a few people that carry around very expensive Hasselblads and so on just for the look at this beautiful camera on my hip thing. I've never been able to pull that off because I'm already not a dapper gentleman. Okay, quickly before I get out of here, because we have run a little bit further than I wanted.
I'm sorry.
One story I wanted to talk about. I'm going to skip the Chromebook story for now, and I'll save that for the
Okay.
next episode. But I did want to quickly talk about this, and this one is near and dear to my heart. And we were talking about audio frequencies, and it's something that I haven't seen reported anywhere really in the video community, which is sort of frustrating. If you guys remember, I've been warning for about a year now that the FCC is trying to sell off the 600 megahertz band. That is a band that's associated with many of the wireless audio units that are out on the market right now. In fact, companies like Sennheiser and Saramonic and others all sell 600 megahertz systems, but the SEC tried to auction them off. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the FCC started the auction at a minimum bid of $84 billion. That's with a
Holy
B.
crap!
And guess what? No one bid on the spectrum. They were expecting the spectrum to rake in over $100 billion, but it has not lived up to the potential. Now, the way it works with the FCC is every time an auction fails to meet the minimum bid, they lower the bid and try to auction the spectrum again. And they've lowered the bid 3 times now. They're on stage 4. And stage 4, they've lowered it to $10 billion. And they're still not getting anybody to bid the minimum value to buy the spectrum. Now, the reason this is interesting is, number one, it could mean that they'll never get rid of the spectrum and it could remain in public use, which is great for people that still own 600 megahertz equipment. The other thing is interesting about this is why the spectrum is no longer worth that much money. And if you go back maybe 8 or 9 years, people were willing to pay outrageous sums of money for 900 megahertz and so on. And the SEC assumed that this would be the case as well. But it turns out that 5G is right around the corner, and everybody wants a higher frequency spectrum in order to accommodate the data rate. Now, without getting too far into the weeds about how that works, expect, maybe the 6 gigahertz band or the 5 gigahertz band, some of those higher bands to sell for crazy amounts of money, but no one wants the lower frequency spectrum because it's not able to handle the data rate that these higher frequencies are capable of handling. So I guess where I'm going with this story is if you own wireless kit that's in the 600 megahertz range, you may have another year, possibly 2, of reprieve before they ever manage to sell this crap off, which is really strange and interesting. And this was a money grab by the government to get rid of some of the spectrum. And they've also done this thing where they've consolidated a bunch of the frequencies that used to be available to the broadcast providers in order to auction that off as well. But a lot of those frequencies are in the UHF band, which I don't know if they're going to have any luck selling. I know this is like not your can of worms, Mitch, but you have any input on this?
I'm fascinated to hear this. No, I don't have any knowledge to share, but it's certainly very interesting conversation, and it's funny how the markets change, isn't it?
Well, so the next thing to think about, folks, and I just want to get this out there before we end the show, the next wave of internet providers and internet to your home is most likely going to be via 5G service. A lot of these towers can do beamforming and multi-frequency hopping and frequency share systems where you're using 2 different frequencies to come into a device, which means you can get 50 to 100 megs worth of service, and you're almost only limited by the trunk connection to the cell phone tower itself. A lot of these areas, like where I live right now, that could actually end up being competition for the local providers. The maximum internet speed you can get here in town is 100 meg down and 10 meg up, and I already with 3G or with 4G, excuse me, get about 35 down and 10 up, which, you take that up to a second mixed frequency broadcast system, and holy cow, you could double or triple that really easily, and then provide an affordable competition to said local providers.
But we already know. I mean, look at your data charges on your cell phone service. You
I don't
certainly
have to worry
can't
about
do
that because
streaming or anything else.
I'm unlimited, Mitch, so I hit a terabyte sometimes in a month.
Brag. Yeah, you better not ever cancel that program because you're SOL.
Yeah, 10 gig would be awful.
I've tried to save a little bit of money, and I'm on a 10 gig service for a family plan, which is costing me $200 and something a month, which is just crazy stupid. But they're not, there isn't anybody that's offering unlimited data anymore on any kind of a cell service.
My
I know of. There probably is. I don't know. But
my contract is 15 years old, 10 years old. I think I've got a picture here of 1 month, and this is only halfway through the month, so you guys can see this right here. That's a 23 gig in maybe 15 days, and that's a very light month for me. I've got some worse ones. I think my record. Let me see if I could find it. Oh, here. This one will shock you.
Oh my God.
That's 1,050 gig for those of you listening in between April 28th and about 3/4 of the way through the month. So I am the jerk that drives up the cell phone charges for everyone else. I apologize.
Thanks a lot, DJ. Nice. You unlimited old contract guy.
Oh, man. But,
smart man. You're smart.
On the other side, though, you mentioned limits, and quickly addressing that, did you know that several of the providers, Time Warner, I think, is one, Charter is another, as well as Comcast, have started to introduce limits in some markets. And recently, I got an extra bill from my Portland house about 2 months ago, for upload charges. Apparently, I was using too much upload bandwidth and crossed some secret threshold that was 500 gig or so. And one of the things I didn't think about is a lot of times if I'm working on remote projects or even doing these podcasts, it uses a lot of upload speed. And doing the remote projects, I generally will drop 4 to 8 gigs worth of footage online overnight for whoever's working remotely to look at, use, do whatever they want with. And then we'll do project generations where we create new files and send them up. And that's a lot of data. And the caps are usually mentioned in download speeds, but they work both ways apparently. So that ended up costing me an extra $40 for going over, and they charge you X number of dollars for every 100 gig over. They just basically knock you up to the next tier. And this is happening throughout the States. You start watching Netflix and some of these other things, and your download speed's 500 gig or even a terabyte. That's not unreasonable for 5 or 4 TVs in a household to go through. You have some kids, like playing video games online. You have your wife watching a movie. You have yourself streaming something from somewhere else. You watch some YouTube videos. Maybe you download like 5 games from Steam, and you could cross that threshold in a heartbeat, and it's really scary stuff.
Yeah, amen. I don't like that.
Anyway, that's enough doom and gloom. Sorry for my 1 terabyte worth of usage cell phone service, guys. I'm a jerk. I'll admit that. Last thing before we get out here, thanks everybody for hopping online and hanging out in the chat room. We love the chat room. We love all you guys showing up. Sorry we've been gone for so long. Completely my fault. Back, have a house again. We're stable. The show will go on. And thank you, Mitch, for pausing with the show for this long and coming back. I appreciate it.
Oh, I had a great vacation without you.
Sometimes it's, these early mornings, it's nice to sleep in, and I dreaded getting up at 4:30 to do the show this morning.
Yeah, I bet you did.
But it'll be a regular basis because now I'm 9 to 5, or not 9 to 5, 7 to 3:30. So I work 8 days, or 4, I don't even know.
You work 8 days a week? There's a
days
Beatles song.
Yes. All right. On that note, Mitch, where can people find you?
I am at planet5d.com. Don't forget to give away the Stella Pro Light Kit, planet5d.com/giveaway that ends on the 31st. Twitter, I'm Planet Mitch. I'm Planet Mitch everywhere, so look for me there.
And as always, guys, you can find me at DSLRFilmNoob.com, on Twitter at DSLRFilmNoob, and One Lone Dork channel. You're already here on YouTube, probably, so you know that part. You can find this podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, and anywhere podcasts are distributed. We love for you to rate and subscribe and tell your friends about this, because if you are into cameras, chances are your friends are too. Talk to them,
Yes.
tell them, bring them in. We'd love to see them. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on another exciting episode of DSLR Film Noob.
Belly button episode.
Yeah, I was not going to read out loud some of the things about belly buttons in the chat room.
I didn't even see those. I got to go back and look at that.
There's some really interesting stuff too about data usage and watching YouTube videos, which is pretty interesting too. I know a lot
Oh
of
my
people
word.
are big YouTube users these days, and that can really suck up the bandwidth. All right, guys, I would normally hang around with Mitch and chat, but I gotta go. So you guys have a wonderful day, and we will see you next
too,
time.
DJ. Thank you all. Thank y'all.
Goodbye.